No, it's wild, and he's I can't believe he's going to take that plane. It's so crazy to take that plane.
Do you think he'll take it?
I hope. Look, I hope if he does take it, I hope it doesn't become Air Force One. I hope what they do is they say, "This is Trump's plane, and we're going to park it over here." He'll fly Air Force One throughout his presidency, and when he leaves the presidency, look at that. He's got himself a palace in the sky. As corrupt as that is, I like that way more than taking that plane and turning it into the new Air Force One and risking it being some sort of spy plane, spying on whoever's in it somehow. I just don't think I don't think you would ever be 100% sure. Like, no, you'd have to take it apart, bolt by bolt, screw by screw. And even then, if you have enough money and enough smart people, you'll find a way. Like in the 80s, we were bouncing lasers off panes of glass and listening to what's going on inside the room, because the glass is vibrating, it's oscillating, and the laser's picking that up just like a needle on a record. That's like 1980s crazy bullshit. That's 1980s bullshit. What we have now must pale in comparison to that.
The other thing I wanted to say, and Kyle knows this already, but it's going to cost almost $1 billion to convert this thing to Air Force One, to give it like air-to-air refueling capacity, surface-to-air, air-to-air defense capabilities, all that fun stuff. It's going to be very expensive, and it will be finished around the time the new Air Force One is scheduled to be finished anyway. They're like within 9 months. And I'm like, don't spend an extra $1 billion on this plane to Air Force One-ify it when you're just going to retire it 3 months later or something like that. Like,
yeah. It's going to get like a couple flights, and they're going to be like, "Hey, the new one's done," and it's like, "All right, well, we're switching to the fucking new one."
He will not switch to the new one.
No,
this is way
doesn't
better.
have a microphone. No, it's not. You already said that the one we're making has like EMP protection, all sorts of stuff.
Add that to the one he's buying.
That's what the billion is. Yeah, to convert it into. When I said Air Force, I was talking about EMP.
What he's buying.
Well, that would be fucking absurd to use any airplane that isn't built for Air Force One. That's crazy.
I don't have the details, the specs, but I believe what he's buying is a much larger plane on the inside. I think it has multiple levels. Like
what he's
floors.
buying?
The one that sure he's buying. Yeah, he's buying. Oh, he's buying.
Kyle, you seem to be the closest clued in. How big is this plane compared to what the new Air Force One is?
The new Air Force One won't be bigger than the old Air Force One. It'll just be a new Air Force One. But I think this is definitely a bigger plane. It looks bigger. It looks fatter.
They're both 747s, but I don't know my 747-8s versus my 747-6s well enough to say.
I didn't even know they had different kinds. So you're ahead of the curve in my world.
I know the Qatar one is the 8. I don't know what Air Force One is.
So their plane is just boilerplate 747-8 or some shit that has a bunch of nice gold inside and like good toilets and probably a nice kitchen. That's
pretty good. Yeah.
We can make a fucking Air Force One that's just as good as that. And if it's a little smaller, no big deal. How much space on the plane are you using when you're like just going to Munich? Like it's not like space is going to be an issue.
He brings the entire press corps with him and like tons of staff and people like it's an enormous plane that he's getting. It's a palace in the sky. Is what they describe it as, and it looks like it. It looks.
Is the capacity difference like a really big capacity difference?
I don't know those. I don't have those answers. But when I look at the pictures of it, it looks like a much bigger plane to me. And I'm having a hard time finding the specs online. I don't care though. In the end, he shouldn't take it. It's crazy to take it. It's embarrassing to take it. It's embarrassing to take it.
And you said that the new one is supposed to be out in the next year or two.
So he's negotiated. He renegotiated that contract with Boeing or whoever is making the new Air Force One during his last term, and he did chip the price down by billions or something. And I think it was estimated to go into service either sometime between 2025 and 2027 is when the new one was supposed to be ready.
That sucks. That's like a fucking. That's like the moon landing prediction where they just keep dragging us along.
I don't think so. I mean, they're building one plane.
2025, that's the year it is right now, and we're not going to the moon.
Well, they're building it for a couple of years.
I have a quick stat. The plane from Qatar is 250 feet long, and the current Air Force One is 231 feet long. So 19.
Fuck off. That's not a big difference at all. That is not a big enough difference. If he said the Qatar plane was 600 feet long, I'd be like, this really is an air palace. Maybe we can fit this.
It's 19 feet
it must
bigger.
Be a one of a kind thing. And it's like, no, it's just kind of Boeing made it and sent it to Qatar. And then they made it really gauche with a lot of marble countertops and gold finishing. And that's what it is. I know you guys are both sorry.
So it's a 747-8. So
the Qatar one.
The Qatari one is. I'm pulling up the specs here. I've got a good link. I think there's a graph there, or graphic, I should say.
Final series of the large, long-range, wide-body airliners in the Boeing 747 family. It is the largest model variant of the 747 and Boeing's largest aircraft overall.
I think I can't find specs on the new Air Force One, the one that's coming soon. I wonder if there's
200B. The new one is
200B. The new one.
The Air Force One is a Boeing 747 200B, specifically the VC-25A variant. These aircraft are heavily modified for presidential transport, with two currently in use. They are known for their advanced security, communications, and command and control capabilities.
That sounds like the old one.
It does. I'm not sure that the new one is necessarily a new model, but I don't know. I know I wouldn't take a plane from the Qataris because we're the richest country and most powerful country in the world.
And we can make our own fucking planes.
And we make our own fucking planes. Boeing's an American company.
And they just made a bunch of, they were on their last leg and now they're selling, I know you said 200 billion. I saw a little fact.
200 million, I thought.
No, it was
billion.
Their deal to Qatar was 200 billion. That was the claimed. And then it was, like the fact check was 98 billion or something. Was like the real number, which is.
Why are there two numbers always?
I have no idea. I just
you have to like de-Trumpify everything he said.
So I don't think it was. I think it was one of his cronies that said that. I don't remember.
It's frustrating that you never get your like real numbers and real data, and it's always a. It's always
and apparently that's a very important thing for Boeing right now. I guess they're not doing too hot, which is like,
great deal.
Is Boeing not doing hot? You're the plane guy. Is Airbus really kicking your ass? Come on, get it together.
Then Trump met the former Al-Qaeda fighter who's fought in Iraq against us and killed plenty of Americans and terrorists for years. He now runs Syria. Trump said he's a real good-looking guy, a real tough guy, a fighter, and Trump likes
the solution. Right?
Then he removed the sanctions against Syria because the Saudi Arabian government told him to. The same Saudi Arabian government that funded 9/11.
Well, I mean, we removed sanctions on Syria because our regime replacement worked.
We wanted the leader of Al-Qaeda.
No, America pulled
we
out.
got rid of Bashar al-Assad.
But we didn't get the guy we wanted.
What we should do, just bring Assad back.
No, we did it.
We could have just done that.
It was he said, "Hey, the Saudis wanted me to do this." Like this isn't him coming up with this. The Saudis pressured him to do this, and then they bought $200 million worth of airplanes.
I'm not defending a Taliban or whatever the fuck guy. I'm just saying we didn't really have a problem with this when we had a rational actor like Bashar al-Assad in charge, and then we did regime change, and now there's a bunch of horse shit, which is what usually happens with regime change. We could have just left Bashar al-Assad, who protected the minority Christians in that region against extremists. We could have left him in charge, and we didn't. Now he's in fucking exile in Russia. So another fucking swinging a fucking miss with the regime change nonsense that the U.S. does.
I mean, we'll see. I don't care if it works out or if it doesn't. I don't like that guy. I didn't forget 9/11. I don't like that shit.
You never forgot, even for a second?
Look, if I was the president, I'd have melted the Middle East.
I bet you did. I bet there were some dark nights where you fucking forgot.
I'd have melted the whole Middle East. We'd be in horse and buggies because I'd have irradiated all the oil in Saudi Arabia after they did that shit. I'd have glassed those cocksuckers. That bowing down to their fucking filthy oil money now is disgusting. It's disgusting.
We stopped bombing the Houthis in Yemen, and I think it's because Qatar said to do it.
Well, Trump says they surrendered, and he also mentioned that those Houthis are some brave guys, some real tough cookies, fought valiantly.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but why Qatar? Like, isn't it Qatar?
It's both works.
Yeah, I watched a video and they said Qatar was the right pronunciation, but I'm gonna Google it.
If someone's from Qatar, or like if you were to say a national of Qatar, you wouldn't say a Qatari. You'd be like a Qatari national.
I think this is one of my annoying things. I don't like when a Spanish word comes up and all of a sudden the newscaster becomes
like AOC, where she's like, we need to defend Los Andres Boulevard from violence.
I think I'm gonna switch to Qatar because what happened is I watched this Jonathan Harris video. Do you know that YouTuber?
No.
He did a big thing about Qatar like 8 months ago, and he's like, Americans say Qatar, which is wrong. The right version is Qatar, but the real right version is, and then it was like, when someone busts into like deep Spanish accent, like the real version is, and but I won't say that for you. And I was like, okay, so Qatar is right. I learned Qatar is right. I'll burn that in. And now I Google it, and this little, the words, the lips move. She's clearly saying Qatar, so that's my new standard.
I don't know enough about it. I heard Qatar, and I'm like, am I wrong?
That's what I thought.
I always thought Qatar. Like,
I always said Qatar. I've heard both used by like talking heads on TV, so I think both work just fine. And I'm not Arabic, so I am arrogant. I'm not Arabic, so I won't say Qatar.
Although Fish is from Lebanon, and I think Qatar, I think they don't like Lebanon. They're not.
I still want to hear his take on the pronunciation.
Yeah, he would know.
Probably have.
We'll get his dad on the stream. We'll ask him. Like a real one.